Hi guys, Headache here again, except we're going to be doing a little bit different of a commentary video today. I think our last one was kind of a more serious topic, definitely something that's a little bit more heavy in nature. So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more on the kind of chill side, something that is still, I think, is interesting to talk about, but necessarily isn't a heavy emotional topic. So today I just want to talk about, since I've been implementing Phasmophobia into my weekly schedule, the fears that I have and the fears that you may have as a person. I've always thought that obviously the fear of things has been a really interesting subject and as why people fear the things they do. So I kind of want to give you my personal fears that I have, and maybe we can spark an interesting discussion about the fears that everyone has and phobias in general. So yeah, let's not waste any time. So my first fear and my most prevalent fear, I have two, is acrophobia. And acrophobia is the fear of heights. So I am very, very afraid of anything high up. Ever since I was a kid, I've been very, very deeply afraid of roller coasters and in specific. And that kind of went into deeper fears that I had about heights in general. I think the catalyst for this was actually when I was really young. I couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old, if not more. Somewhere around there. We were going to Kings Island, which is an amusement park up in Ohio, right near where I live. Essentially, there was a lot of rides there I really enjoyed, but they were mostly in the kiddie section. So it wasn't really anything that was super scary. I thought the one roller coaster that they had there was literally like, it was even bigger than the size of a house, like a 2-story house, and it just had one tiny little loop, and that scared the daylights out of me. That one freaked me out. So what happened was there were these fun rides that they had there for a while where you could drive essentially really old cars, but they were on a track. So like I'm talking like literally like 1914 edition vehicles. I'm pretty sure they weren't authentic. I think they were just like remakes that they put on rails, but it was still fun because it allowed like a little kid like me to like fake the experience of driving. So I really loved those things. I loved going on those. So I, as a child, did not know what they were called. So one time when we went to Kings Island, my father says, "Hey, would you like to go on the racer?" And I didn't know what the racer was. I thought it was just the name of those buggy cars that we drove near the back of the park because they were located near each other, the roller coaster in question and them. So I was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll go to the racer." And I remember sitting in the line and going, this is a lot longer than usual, and I'm a kid. I don't have the best memory. I'm like, is this like, are we in the right area? I mean, I guess so. I mean, I'm just a stupid kid. What do I know? Like I just kind of like went with it. And I didn't realize until we were like way into the line itself where we were almost there that, oh God, this is a roller coaster. And at that point, I always like felt weird about heights and stuff, but I wasn't afraid yet. And that would change. Now, the racer, for context, at least in the old days, there was a forward going coaster. So there was a forward cart and there was a backwards cart, the one that would literally run backwards. My dad and I got in the back, and I thought, my experience with roller coasters so far had been, like I said, the kiddie coaster that hadn't been more than a house big. So I was like, maybe I can handle it. Maybe I can deal with this. Maybe this is something I can handle. The answer was no, as we'll come to find out. So I get in, and it starts railing us up, and we keep going, and we keep going, and we keep going, and we keep going. And I just remember getting this horrible, horrible sinking feeling into my stomach and just like profusely sweating and just realizing the horror of what I had agreed to. And we're not going on the buggies today. we were in the bone zone. So we kept going up, and I was shocked because like the only like hill of a coaster that I had ever been on, like the only ramp I'd ever been down, was one that was probably not even like 3 meters tall. So going up above a building, going almost to a skyscraper sized height in the air, was a huge jump, and I was not ready for it. I remember screaming for my mother the whole way up. I was terrified. I was screaming my lungs out. I was just shouting the entire time. And we reached the top, and I can't even see what's happening. We're on the backwards coaster. I can't even see what's going on. I just see nothing but parking lots and the entire park below us. And then suddenly the front, the quote front of the cart dips over the top of the hill, and then we just start sailing downwards. And I remember nothing after that point. I remember just shaking profusely, grabbing onto the railing as hard as I could, and just wind and terror, just awful, awful feeling, super awful feeling. And it's just blacked out of my memory. All I remember after that point is getting off the ride, trying to walk through the normal park. I had sweated a bunch, so my clothes were damp, and I couldn't speak because I had screamed so much, and I was kind of delirious, and a horrifying experience. And I think that's the catalyst. I think that's where that all started. And I kind of knew from that point on that, this is something I have. I have a fear of heights. I don't like this. But I made a big mistake later in my life that I'm going to cover. So fast forward about 10 years. I've been dating my ex-girlfriend for about 2-ish years up until that point. And the relationship wasn't going so well. But one of the things we did near the end of our relationship was go to Kings Island. She was a huge fan of roller coasters, and I obviously was not, for reasons that I just explained. But, I was thinking, this means a lot to her. I know things aren't going too well between the two of us. So maybe I'll just try to power through my fear, and maybe that will fix things. And that was probably the dumbest idea that I have ever had as a young person in my entire life, because she wanted to go on the drop tower. Now, I said the racer was the size of a skyscraper. I was exaggerating. The drop tower, the drop zone, is quite literally a skyscraper. It is. It is humongous. Humongous. It is literally the size of like a 20-story building. It is crazy. And she wanted to go on it. And I, knowing that it meant a lot to her that with things not going so well that I be there, I decided to do it. And I remember standing in line just like, oh my gosh, like I was getting dizzy before we even got on, because I was just like knowing that I was about to have one of the worst experiences of my life. But I thought, that would be a good plus side. That would be like a good thing that I did that. Wrong. So we get up there, and I cannot describe to you. Like, I thought the racer situation was bad when I was a kid. When I went up there, I don't think I've had a bigger fear in my life that I've ever had being at the top of that drop zone. And it dropping me and catching me literally felt like I was dying. Like, it literally felt like I was passing away. I felt like death was a better alternative. That is how frightened I was. I was shouting. I was screaming. I was having a horrible time. I remember I started crying at one point too. And I was like 17, I think. I was sobbing. I finally get off of it. And it ends and we slowly descend. And I just remember I walked out of the ride, sat on a curbside, and like my clothes were drenched again from sweat. And it was the first time I had felt that feeling since I was a kid. Like, my clothes were drenched from sweat, like my hair, my shirt. I was just, I had a full-blown panic attack up there. And I just remember like crying on the curb because I was just like, my relationship's going downhill, and I tried to do this cool thing to make her feel like, yeah, we're a unit, and I just couldn't handle it. And I just, it was just a horrible time. So, like, I think that's the last time I have attempted to do anything heights related on purpose. And I think I know now in my older age, about almost 10 years after that now, geez, oh Pete's, heights ain't for me. And no matter what I do, that's not going to be better. And there's nothing that's really worth it to do that. It's affected my life, in my current life. I've developed a very, very intense fear of elevators, like a very, very big fear of elevators. Like, if I have the option to avoid an elevator, I will, because it's not so much a fear of like heights itself. Like, if I'm completely stationary, I'm fine, really. It's that dropping feeling. It's that feeling of falling that really terrifies me. And elevators simulate that. And I know elevators are checked all the time to make sure that they're safe. but like phobias aren't usually rational. So it could be the one time, it could be the one astronomical time that the elevator falls, and that is the most horrifying way in my mind to go. I do not want to do that. Matter of fact, we actually went back to my old college campus recently, and in one of the buildings, they have an elevator, has just straight up one side of it is just a glass wall. It's just a glass window. So, it's just a glass window on one side. So I can see the entire 3-story rise that we are doing. I did it once, and this was a week before Halloween. I did that once. And I couldn't handle it. I faced in the corner. I was like Blair Witching in the corner because I couldn't face the window because I was so terrified. Because I was like, no, I'm in my mid-20s now. I am an adult. I can handle an elevator. And it started happening again. Like I was starting to clam up. I was shaking slightly, and like I said, I had to Blair Witch in the corner to avoid seeing the window there. Even now, it's still a very prevalent thing that bothers me. So for the rest of the night, whenever we had to take an elevator, I just like walked. I just did the whole stairwell. I did over and over. I did the stairwell, no matter how annoying it was, because that was just such an uncomfortable feeling. That it's hard because now in my life, I just have to take the stairs, whatever available, and not just take the elevator easy like everyone else. I mean, I guess it's a good thing because, running stairs is like, good exercise, good for your health. But it's definitely because of fear, not because of any willing choice. I think it really inhibits my life. Luckily, I don't really work in a situation, and I don't think I have in a very long time. I haven't worked in a situation in a very long time where I have needed to use an elevator. All of my jobs have been one floor, and if they're 2 floors, the stairs aren't. It's just 2 floors, so I'll just take the stairwell, dude. So it hasn't really been a relevant factor in my life in a good while, and I hope it continues to not be. So I guess it's not too much of an inhibitor on my life, but it does make it does feel embarrassing when your friends all like, "Yeah, let's all go take the elevator," and then you're like, "Actually, I'm going to go down the stairs because I have a deep-seated fear." And I think the racer is where it all started, and it could be even farther back than that because I remember my mother talking about how she rode the Vortex, which is a very, very intense roller coaster, when she was pregnant with me even. So maybe something subliminal is happening there. I don't know, but like that is just like, to me, like roller coaster or heights, just that dropping feeling equals death to me. Yeah, that's my first one. My first fear is acrophobia, for sure. The biggest one, most pervasive, like 80-20 in terms of percentile. The other one it's actually a super recent development. I would say in like the last 10 years, I've gained this fear, and I kind of don't know where it's come from. Now, this is going to be a rough pronunciation, so you can correct me in the comments if I get it wrong. So I also have Ephemeral, which is the fear of snakes, and I don't know where that came from. I can backtrack my acrophobia back to maybe pre-birth, mostly the racer event. I'm pretty sure it's just the racer event. And I can go, well, that makes sense that I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of roller coasters for this reason. That is not the case for phobia. I have no idea where I got this fear of snakes. And I remember as a kid, I used to be like interested in snakes. Like I thought they were cool. And I remember even as early as the age of like 14 seeing a snake and thinking it was awesome. It was like, oh, cool. It's a big rat snake. It's huge. Amazing. Like I did not have that fear, but for some reason in the last 10 years of my life, I've really developed an intense fear of snakes. I don't know. Like I can understand it in my brain. Like, oh, I don't like the way they can just go from just sitting perfectly still to suddenly just attacking out of nowhere. Like they can go from just perfectly fine to just whoocha, and then and if they're venomous, you just die. So maybe it's some more latent instinct in me that's like triggering really late in my life for some reason. Because in terms of fears, like a fear in a very latent, very simplified term is just like your body saying, I don't want to die, so let's avoid that situation. I think a fear of snakes makes more sense because obviously some are venomous and some can just straight up kill you if you're not too careful. I'm lucky enough to live in the Midwest where we don't have a lot of venomous snakes. There's cottonmouths and stuff, but like as long as you avoid like running around in a creek, like you'll be fine. And those are still even a little bit more south of where I live, even mostly. So it's like, it makes sense. Like, if you get bit by a poisonous snake, you will die. So that I think that's not something that, you know, can be made fun of as much as like, oh, I'm afraid of roller coasters. Because like, no, duh. If you do get bit by a poisonous snake, you will die. So that is a more rational fear. At least I think so. But I don't really have a catalyst to it, really. I don't really have anything I remember. I've never had a bad experience with a snake. And it really sucks because like I have a lot of friends who are like very, very snake positive. Like they either have owned snakes or they know friends who own snakes and they think they're adorable. They think they're cute. And I wish I could be like that. I really do. I really wish I could be one of those people that like looks fondly on them as just another pet, another animal that's just existing and doing its thing. And mentally, I understand that. Like mentally, I understand that they're just animals just trying to do their thing. There's no malicious intent. They're not evil animals. That stuff doesn't make any sense. That I understand. But like, I can't shake it. I can't shake the feeling that whenever I'm around one, I am in danger. And I've done a ton of research on snakes as well. Like even in my adult age, like I've watched documentaries about snakes. I've tried to learn more about them. And it's still, even with that like equipped knowledge, I can't get over the fact of how threatened I feel. I think that's the big word. I feel threatened. I feel threatened whenever I'm around one. And once again, I understand logically in my brain that like snakes aren't just out to attack you. They aren't just all super aggressive for like no reason. But in my phobia, in my irrational fear, I think they're all out to get me. I think they're going to hurt me. I think that the way they go from still to attack is very frightening, and I just don't want to deal with it. And it's funny because you think that would also coincide with a fear of spiders. You think that would coincide with a fear of spiders as well. But of spiders, I'm totally fine with. Spiders, I'm like best friends with. I'm like, thanks for clearing up the bugs in my house. Thank you for being you. I even don't kill spiders sometimes when I see them. I'm like, you doing your job over there? You keeping our house bug free? Awesome. Just don't get into my food or anything and we're good. You know, and that doesn't make any sense because, you know, theoretically, snakes do the same thing just in the outdoors. Like that's what keeps like a lot of small mice, rats, and other things from getting into my household. So you think I should be appreciative of them, but for like I said, I just no idea. Despite that, even that knowledge of that they do a lot of good, even for me, just as a person, I just can't shake it. I just cannot. Yeah. But I have a very intense fear of snakes. I wish I didn't. I wish I could shake that. I don't know if there's a way to shake like lifelong phobias, but I think arachnophobia, that's the other one. I think acrophobia I can deal with. I'm okay with having arachnophobia for the rest of my life. I wish I could get rid of my aphetophobia. I think that's the one I think is dumb, and I do not want that one. I just like, get it out of here. Get out. Leave me alone. I think, like, because mentally I still think snakes are cool. And I have a lot of snake positive friends. So just like, hey, just get out of here. Just leave. But I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's a thing. And so I guess I just have to live with it now. So in conclusion, my main two fears are acrophobia and aphetophobia. Acrophobia makes a lot of sense because of early trauma with roller coasters that since made me just have this deep terror when it has to do with that dropping feeling to the point where I'm afraid of elevators as well. And I'm also super afraid of snakes with aphetophobia. And that one doesn't really have any sort of like catalyst or moment. But it makes more sense in terms of just like a latent human instinct sort of way. And that's the one I wish I didn't have. If you have any sort of fears that you have that you want to talk about, right now we're on the topic of like phasmophobia, which is a fear of ghosts, by the way. Go ahead and put that down in the comments below, and we can talk about our fears of certain things, and we can feel a little bit more secure in those because, like I said, I feel really dumb about the snake one. Acrophobia, pretty cool with. Snake one, I feel pretty dumb about. So, yeah, can you go ahead and put those down in the comments below, and we can have a nice little discussion of our phobias and, you know, get that off our chests. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next time I see you. I am still streaming on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, off Sunday. So I'll see you there. That's probably where I'll see you most because that's what I do most. Or if you're just somebody who likes to rock on the YouTube side, I will see you next YouTube video, which probably won't be too long from now. So thank you for watching and thank you for being you. Don't be mean to people. Thank you. Goodbye.